Okay, we're now going to talk about the first three blocks in Choi Kwang-Do, the outer block, inward block and lower block. And these are the basic Choi Kwang-Do blocks that you learn from colour belt, right at the beginning of white belt, and you use it all the way up until you get to black belt. They have a few common elements to them. A lot of the movement is pretty much the same over the first three blocks. It all changes. The only difference is what we do with our arm at the end of it. So about 80% of the movement, similar to when we do a rear inner punch or a front inner punch, what we do with most of our body stays the same all the way through these blocks. Okay, I'm just going to talk about the common elements of them. So if I come into a right front stance here, the first common element of all of them is we're going to push up onto the ball of the front foot, shift our body weight onto the rear leg, and narrow our turn in slightly to narrow our profile. And what that does, if someone's throwing a punch in towards us or a kick in towards us, by pushing up, shifting our body weight backwards onto our back leg, it creates a distance of a good few inches. And what that means is it gives our brain a little bit of time first of all. So let's say a punch is coming in toward us. If we stood still, then we've got a bit less time to react. By shifting our body weight back, it gives us a little bit, split second more time for the brain to react, to see what's happening and react to the block. Okay. It also goes with our natural instinct. If something's thrown towards your face, your natural instinct is to shift up weight and bring your hands up to deflect something coming in towards you. So we're working with that natural instinct that we have as human beings. If something's coming towards us quickly, we want to cover up and get away from it. The third element of it is when we do block, we use the two bones of the arm to block the radius up and the ulnar. We either use the back of the fist, back of the forearm, and then the back of the forearm all the way down there, or the palm side of the arm and the front part of the forearm along the two bones to do the block. The reason for doing this is if anyone's throwing anything with any reasonable force towards you, and they've got, say, a heavy pair of boots on or whatever, in traditional arts they will teach you to block with the blade of the arm there, and that puts the load across a single bone. So when you're meeting that force, there's a better chance of you doing damage to your bones, snapping your bone, or causing a fracture when you're spreading the load across one bone. So we want to spread the load across the two bones, the radius and the ulnar of the arm. Okay, so what we're looking to do with the blocks on the first part of the movement is the same all the way through. We're going to push up onto the ball of the foot, shift our body weight onto the rear. We're turning our body in slightly sideways to make a bit of a narrower profile and narrower target for ourselves. And as we're doing that, we shrug up both of our shoulders up. Okay, and that's for all the blocks. So we're pushing up, shifting our body weight up, backwards, narrowing our profile, and at the same time shrugging our shoulders up. And from there, we will then use our front arm to do the rest of the block. Okay. The first block we're going to cover is outward block. So, as I said, we're going to start off by pushing up onto the ball of the front foot, shifting our body onto the rear leg, turning the body weight in a little bit, and shrugging the shoulders up. From there, keeping a 90-degree angle in your elbow of your right arm. Pretend to have a pen in your right hand. You're going to draw a big circle around the head. Make sure your elbow stays slightly lower than your wrist. Circle all the way around and come back. So we're going to push back, narrow our profile, shrug our shoulders, keep the elbow locked at 90 degrees, circle around the head and come back in. And that's what we call the outward block. So we're going to shift back, block. There. Okay, the next block is for when something's coming in towards our torso, our stomach or our chest, and we call it inward block. Okay, it starts exactly the same. We're going to push up onto the ball of the foot, switch our body weight onto the rear leg and shrug our shoulders up. From there, you keep your elbow pointing to the ground, fist pointing to the ceiling, and your arm comes out at a 45-degree angle to meet whatever's at your coming in towards your torso and deflect it to the side. You always keep your elbow bent as you're doing it. You never straighten your arm when we're doing this one. If you straighten your arm at any of the blocks, you're either going to ruin the block or possibly turn it into almost like a punch, and then you'll get hit. Okay, so we're shifting up, pushing on the ball of the foot, shifting the body back, shrugging the shoulders, and then from there rolling the shoulder, making contact with the palm side of the forearm, hitting there at a 45-degree angle, following through and back. Now, one thing that's really important to remember with the inward block is that it's very easy as a beginner when we do this block to turn our head along with our body. We don't want to do that. If you can imagine I've got someone throwing a punch at me, I can successfully block that, but my head is turned away from them, I'm not looking at them, I won't see the next punch or kick come in, I'm getting hit. Okay? So it's important, especially with this one, you always keep your focus looking forward to where your target and your partner would be. Okay, so as they're throwing the punch, we're going to push up on the ball of the foot, shift back, shrug the shoulders and arm out at a 45-degree angle there. Okay, the final block that we do is low block. This covers from our hips down to our knees. Okay, any lower than our knees, and then you're looking at either lifting the leg up out of the way or stepping back, switching your stance. And the reason for this is, for me to get any much lower than my knee, I have to lean my body weight forward to bring my arm closer to the target. In this case, a kick that's coming in. If they've come down any lower than that, I have to lean forward to do it. And by doing that, it brings my head closer towards them and it leaves me open to punches, knees, upper punches, and so on. It's a lot more dangerous. I need to protect my head. So what we're going to do, low block, is we're going to push up on the ball of the foot, shift our body back, we bend at the knees as well, which allows us to block a little bit lower anyway, and shrug your shoulders up, and then you're going to drop your fist down, extend it out until your block comes by your knee, follow it through and back. So we're going to shift our body back onto the back foot, narrow our profile, turn our body in sideways, protecting our groin a little bit as well, and shrugging the shoulders, dropping the back of the fist, and it needs to be a few inches in front of your leg when you're blocking. Okay? If you're blocking and it's too close to your leg, then as you make contact, people's legs are stronger than arms generally, so there'll be a lot more force going in there. I'll make contact there, and I may not have enough distance to deflect them away from my leg, and I may get hit. So you want to make sure that your arm is a good few inches away from your knee when you're blocking and not actually hitting very close in towards your knee. So again, we shift back, shift our body onto the rear leg, shoulders shrug, drop and circle through and return.